This is John Robles. You're listening to an interview with Christine Assange, the mother of Julian Assange. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm okay. Before you rang, I was dealing with some journalists in Australia who decided to know what the motive is, to make money or they're jealous or whatever it is, but to viciously smear Julian. The media, some elements of the media have been deliberately smearing Julian and distorting the facts when they know the difference. I'm aware of some that are too lazy to actually investigate the facts. But now we're looking at an increase in deliberate smearing and misinforming the public about what's going on.
Are there any points that are out there in the press that you would like to counter right now?
Okay, well, I suppose just the ones at the start in the last couple of days, and I'll work backwards. Julian didn't do a runner on people that backed his bail. They fully supported application for asylum. And because asylum is actually a legal process nationally recognised as the last resort for someone seeking justice, the second thing is that Julian's not trying to get out of being questioned by the prosecutor in Sweden. For the last 2 years, he's been trying to get this prosecutor to interview him, and she's refused to interview him in Sweden. She refused both his offers to fly back into the interview, and she's rejected his offers to be interviewed at British Embassy or Scotland Yard. It's actually a holding case for a US extradition. She knows that if she interviews him, she's going to either have to charge him or drop the case, and she's got no evidence. And that's why she wants him back in Sweden to interview him, where she can lock him up. Exactly what will happen before being interviewed. Once he is extradited, she will put him straight into a remand prison on indefinite detention, thus assuring that he's there to be picked up by a US extradition warrant and that he won't be able to continue his work with WikiLeaks.
What do you know about the sealed indictment they say that the U.S. grand jury handed down?
The proof of that is coming from when Anonymous hacked into the private global intelligence company based in Texas that has worldwide subsidiaries.
Stratford.
And one of the executive officers actually stated that there was a sealed indictment sitting there waiting for the right moment to serve upon Julian. It comes via a US grand jury, and there's no proper legal process in obtaining that sealed indictment. There is no judge. There are 9 defence prosecutors at the moment. There used before, and no defence material is allowed, and the jury pool is drawn from Alexandria, Virginia, which has the highest level of military contract defence.
Just a reminder, you're listening to an interview with Christine Assange. Can you tell our listeners anything about his asylum application with Ecuador?
He has given a letter to the Ecuadorian president, and a submission was then made. The Ecuadorian president has made a number of statements. He's stated that from what he can see, his comment was, if we treated Julian Assange half badly as he has been treated, we would have been labelled as dictators and oppressors. He's also said that he believes Julian has every right to ask for political asylum given the way that he's been treated. Julian's very happy at the Ecuadorian Embassy. He's being treated extremely well. They're nice people. I've spoken to them as well. Warm and genuine sorts of people. None of the cold, officious bureaucracy that you get in the UK or in Australia or in Sweden. He's sounding very relaxed and feeling much safer than he has for a long time. Has
anyone touched upon the matter of him, if he is given asylum, how will he physically be able to fly to Ecuador?
No one's touched on that with me yet. I'm not sure how that's done. I'm not sure whether the US or the UK is going to respect the sovereignty of Ecuador or not. They don't. US doesn't respect the sovereignty of other people's countries generally. So I'd like to think that some way there'd been some negotiations where it would be respected, but I'm not hopeful.
Do you think there's any possibility that the US may try to intercept him if he leaves the embassy compound? Have you heard any?
Definitely, and I think the US is quite capable of assassinating him. In fact, there's been some recent articles out of Washington that were printed in our Australian paper that Obama's completely out of control and that he's drawing up personal lists of people he wants to drone and assassinate, and is refusing to actually discuss this with Congress or the justice system at all. He's running off like a loose cannon around the world.
He actually has his own kill list now that he signs off every day.
We call those people dictators.
This is the first I've heard about anything regarding assassination.
In the first week of December 2010, when Julian was arrested, and just prior to that, there were many commentators in the US who are calling for him to be garroted, droned, assassinated, hunted down, and so on it goes, talking in quite graphic terms about what they would do to him. And the Stratford emails talked about torturing him when he got into a US prison. I suppose that we're seeing a rapid decline in our democracy at a frightening level. The American government is no longer in safe hands for the rest of the world or the American people, that people around the world need to tell their governments not to comply with American demands and intimidating and bullying their countries. And I think the American people need to do something similar to stand up for their civil rights. And within that would be to stand up for Julian and WikiLeaks' rights to operate as a free press. Julian remains uncharged anywhere in the world. The US Treasury has stated he hadn't broken no law.
Do you know anything about the case of Manning?
Bradley Manning, the last straw for him was when he was asked to arrest 15 Iraqi dissidents, civilian dissidents, take them to the Iraqi police for torture. And when he asked what it was that they'd done, it was that they'd run around with a piece of paper asking where the money had gone. That was referring to the reconstruction money and that great crime of asking how the money was being rorted away.
There was U.S. money.
U.S. money, yes. And this is something that the US government and the US contractors do regularly around the world. They make a lot of money out of the wars, and they make a whole lot of money out of reconstruction, and they also make a lot of money out of reconstruction after disasters. And this is all money that's being wrongfully obtained. There's often double quoting, as in Katrina, and this is fraud. It's fraud and intimidation in other people's countries that needs to stop, and WikiLeaks outed it. And rather than trying to shut WikiLeaks up, the American government should be prosecuting those people involved.
Right, exactly. Instead, they're going after the whistleblowers. I mean, everything's gone completely crazy, in my opinion.
Revealing mostly to me and other people is not actually what the WikiLeaks cables revealed, but the response of the US government to it. That has shown us that we do not live in a democracy at all. As a facade, a police state apparatus will be put over the democracy at any time they feel like it, and they're doing it now. And it's frightening at the rate that it's creeping through people's countries. For example, Russia today has been very good in showing what's been going on, but we can't get our own media to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, no worries.
Okay, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, I really, really appreciate it too, a chance to get some truth out.
Stay strong down there.
I will, don't worry.
That was an interview with Christine Assange. Thanks for listening.